Spiky Bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches. Help keep our channel ad-free by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. Rob Baer here today with a look at the brand new rules for 40K. This is the Death from the Sky supplement. It's coming in hot. And 40K, between this and the FAQs that dropped earlier in the week, may never be the same again. I don't even know what's going on right now. It's like, why even come out with an 8th edition when you literally come out with new rules every month, sometimes every other week these days? So it's like, it's a pretty neat time to be in the hobby and to really keep track of things. First of all, I would like to apologize if there's any external noise that I'm not able to cancel out in the sound editing booth, because apparently not only are they putting up a garage using a jackhammer, but apparently also a leaf blower at the same time. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, that appears to be what they're doing over there, and I do not envy them because it looks hot outside. Anywho, let's get to what everybody's watching this video about the new Death from the Sky supplement. So this is $58 US. It's about a 175 page book. Actually, it is 160, final answer, 160 page book that kind of rivals, you know, the Space Marine Codex. Space Marine Codex was, I think, I want to say it was $60, but that was also almost quite as big. So it's a lot bigger than the old Death from the Sky supplement. They came out in, it was Valentine's Day of, I want to say 2012. I want to say it was 2012. Somebody fact check me on that. But either way, it's a lot more material in here. There's a ton of stuff to cover. This, of course, is just a kind of our first look review, where basically I run you through the stuff. I haven't dissected it all. I haven't, you know, busted out, taken my 300 level college class on it yet, taken my notes, and gotten a whole bunch of stuff to go over. I've just kind of skimmed over it, looked at the rumors and stuff that have been out, and kind of formulated some of the high points that I need to show you. But basically, this video's purpose is, hey, is it worth your money kind of type deal, and you know, going to showcase some of the rules that you might need to know, that you might be curious about. But the more in-depth look generally comes out a week later over on the Long War, as well as our Patreon page. So if you are signed up for either of those pages, you will see that soon. Generally, it'll be 2 weeks till the video comes out here on YouTube, and that's just, you know, that's just giving the folks that are very supportive of us here on this channel a chance to get, you know, basically all the intel first. You know, there's a lot of intel out there, but it takes a long while to dissect all these books, cut the videos, you know, edit the videos, etc., etc. You heard, you know, I'm basically in the sound booth. You know, I will be audio editing this stuff, so it takes a little while to make them, you know, to the level that you know, we've been talking about, and we've kind of plateaued at for so many months here now. So anyways, let's take a look at the new toy soldiers, right? So first off, the contents, you got the War above, which is basically all the fluff sections. Wings of War, which is your basically all your Golden Demon showcase, like the, hey, this stuff looks dope, you know, I want that kind of type deal. Then you've got the Burning Skies rules themselves, right? And that contains all the new flyers, the formations, or excuse me, the flyer wings, the wing leader rules. You got some new missions in here. You got the ace rules. You got the dogfight rules. And we're going to cover some of that stuff because it's very important, because there's a lot of confusion out there. Do I play with these rules? Do I not play with these rules? WTF is going on, right? And then it gets into the section here on, there's an actual detachment you can take for these guys. Now, we're going to skim over that because, like I said, I haven't gone too in-depth about all these new modes and special rules and attributes that the flyers are getting, so I can't really comment on it quite well yet. But then it gets into all the data sheet section, which is basically 23 new flyers, and there's specific ones for specific factions. Like, you got a Blood Angels one, you got a Grey Knights one, you got Space Marine ones, and of course you got all the Space Wolf Storm variants of Wolf-ness. But I think that's because, you know, it's kind of like, well, why did they even bother with 3 different Storm Raven rules in here? And now everybody's up in arms in the new FAQ about transports can't transport other things that aren't the same faction. So maybe that really is a thing, because why else would they put 3 versions of Storm Ravens in here? Who cares if there's a Blood Angel Storm Raven and a Space Marine Storm Raven? It's all Storm Raven, right? One does come in the Blood Angel's book, and one does come in the Space Marine's book, but where's the Dark Angel Storm Raven? They ain't got one, right? So I guess you can't kind of genericize it, but I don't know. Sometimes I just scratch my head and I'm like, there's a reason they're doing this. Just come out and tell us why you're doing this. Because it's so frustrating sometimes, like to try to second guess them. Anyhow, and then it gets into the back here, just basically, talking about, all the stuff, how hot it looks, and just like all that stuff. And then there's a cool reference section in the back. Actually, this is all the data sheets. This is the cool fluff and the paint job not paint jobs of the actual models themselves, but paint jobs of the illustrations of basically how, squadrons look. And then in the back here, there's a little quick reference section, which will, after the Tau, right there on the attack patterns, because the attack patterns are basically a page themselves. So let's take a closer look. So here is your fluff section, and basically talking about all the different formations and things that you are going to find in here, the orders of battle, some great 3D art. You've really seen them stepping up their art game. Here's the sections that I was telling you about all the profiles, all the different paint schemes and things, and then you get into the actual models themselves, the whole Golden Demon section, Studio Armies, etc. Then it goes into the Burning Skies section, which is basically all of the rules. And now this is where, we're going to do the most talking. So you got flyers, right? And basically this is saying that these flyer rules completely overwrite all of the flyer rules in the 40K main rulebook. That's what this blurb right here says. So all of this is now canon for 40K, apparently, and it also explains why now each of these data sheets have different things, here as well, like pursuit and agilities. And that comes into play when you're talking dogfighting, which seems to be optional, according to all this. Furthermore, they clarify how you measure the flyers. And right here, flyers have bases that suspend them above the battlefield. However, skimmer distances are measured to and from the flyer's hull, with the exception of the vehicle's weapons and fire points, all of which work as normal. The base of a flyer is effectively ignored except for when the flyer is in close combat, in which models may move into contact with the vehicle's hull, its base, or both. Okay. Models embarked or disembark from the flyer, in which the base of the flyer is used as an access point. Okay, that's cool. Flyers and other models. Models that physically fit under a flyer model can move beneath it. Likewise, a flyer may end its move over such models. However, when moving this way, enemy models must still remain 1 inch away from the base of the flyer, and flyers cannot end its move with its base within 1 inch of enemy models. So that makes sense. Okay, I got it. That's cool. Thank you for clearing that up, GW, because the wording in this and also the Angels of Death supplement was actually a lot better, and I really feel confident that they are crossing their eyes, crossing their T's and dotting their I's on all the new supplements they've been putting out, because it's just, let's be honest, shit's been a mess. Let's not sugarcoat it. Like, different writers have not been consulting each other, and shit got a little wacky there for a while, but it seems like the rules in here and the rules in the Angels of Death book were actually pretty good and very well thought out. Now, we just saw the draft of the FAQ come out. It's a draft, guys. Like, it's a little rough around the edges, let's be honest. But I'm sure when they spruce it up, and they make it into PDF format, it'll be good to go. Which is why, they're asking for everybody's input, because it's a draft. I wouldn't even want to see some of their drafts for some of the papers I've written, because they were garbage. But, at the end of the day, you always want to get that A on them. So that's what G-Dub's going for there. So then on the next pages, they talk about the flyer wings. Don't exactly know too much about them yet. Like I said, this is a lot of material to cover, a lot of material to read, a lot of notes need to be taken so we can communicate that effectively to you. But basically, you can take these flyer wings, it's like apocalypse in the sky. It's not quite a formation, but if you meet these criteria, you get some, you get sorts of bonuses. So there's a bunch of those. And then then it gets into the dogfight phase, which the dogfight phase basically happens at the bottom, at the start of each game turn between flyers that are in reserve or ongoing reserve. If only one player has flyers in reserve or another player does, then a dogfight does not take place. If both players have flyers in reserve, they can fight a dogfight if they wish to do so. So competitive games of 40K, you know, when you're on the clock and you only got 2.5 hours to play, you might not worry about that. But conversely, you know, so that kind of takes out the whole dogfight kind of section here, which is some of those new rules that they put in there, like the agility points, the attack subphases, and things like that. But, you know, for your Saturday afternoon gaming, this stuff is great, you know, so that's kind of cool to see. And then even more rules here are the wing leaders, where if you take, you know, these formations, air quote, they're not really formations, but you say formations because it's a formation of planes. So, but it's not a formation on paper how you field your army. You basically, your sergeants, so to speak, get these honors, and you know, you roll on a dice, and then your sergeant guy, your leader for your formation of flyers, now get, you know, whatever you roll there. And there's one for each faction that's in the book, so that's kind of cool to see. And we'll go over those because, you know, they are pretty dope, and it's just a nice little bonus there. And then it gets into the air war missions, which are 6 new missions here that you start with the flyers on the table, which is kind of cool, right? Because it's kind of like a game of X-Wing at that point. And then there's a little campaign chart as well and how to link them together. Now, something that's a lot of people wanted to take these just kind of a la carte, these flyer ace rules. But basically they say after the game, you roll on the table and then you get this bonus. So you can't really do that in a tournament because you can't like get cumulative rules and things like that. It's only generally in-game. You know, stuff like the boon table on Chaos, you don't carry those game to game. So if this is something that happens after the game is done, you're probably not going to get it for your next game. Therefore, this is more of like for the whole campaign structure in here. So they're not really purchasable a la carte, or you don't get them if you kill 5 flyers or 5 flying monsters creatures like it says. You don't get that in game. So I wouldn't worry too much about competitive 40K there. And then you get into the detachment, and the detachment's a little bit different. It gives some bonuses because they don't really know if you're going to be dogfighting and stuff. So I'm not sure exactly how competitive this is going to be, but you can see it right there and dissect it for yourself, because I don't know enough about these rules to actually, you know, communicate all of this to you quite yet. But I do know that you know, sometimes stuff like that is worth taking. It isn't just competitive. You know, sometimes the casual stuff's always cool too. Now, in this section, you're going to have your data sheet, and then at the end of the section, now it's only one unit in here because it's Imperial Guard. They're going to give you an appendix with all the rules for those flyers. So most of the stuff is the same except for the orc stuff. There's new things for the orcs. So you got your Valkyrie, and then you've probably seen the table of contents already. You know, you've got the different versions of all the Imperial planes, like I was saying here. There is the Stormhawk in here, of course, 125, and these are special rules. You know, you can switch out the last cannon. You can take the Icarus, Storm Array. You can take assault cannons. You know, it's got like a chaff launcher, which I thought was pretty cool. Chaff or chafe, depending on how you want to call it. And then those rules are all collected back here in the little appendix section, so you can kind of see, hey, all right, well, the Infernum Halo launcher, you reroll all failed cover saves for a Stormhawk Interceptor that has jinking. So there's your chafe or chaff, depending on how you want to say it. And then, you know, it just basically explains it all right there and gives you all the room. And of course, the Icarus Storm Cannon is the same that's on the Stalker model, the AA tank itself. So that's kind of cool that there's now a plane that flies around with the same gun that the AA tanks have 2 of. And there's a ton of units, a ton of flyers in here. You know, and then you got, of course, some formations, the actual formations there in here as well. And we'll go over all that in our next video, like I said. But let's get to the orc stuff here, because I'm sure everybody's kind of curious about that. So here's the orc appendix, and you can kind of see here the teleporter Mega Blaster is it doesn't quite move stuff around like the lifter dropper did, but you got 18-inch range, strength 8, AP2, assault 1, blast, teleported if you roll a 6 to wound. The weapon has instant death, or 6 for armor pen. It causes a penetrating hit regardless if it was higher than a target's armor value. So it's kind of like that ghetto rending, I guess, kind of a little bit there. So that's kind of neat. And then, of course, you've got the Smash-A-Gun as well, which is 36-inch range, D6. You roll for each time you use it, +4, AP1, heavy 1. So if you figure an average roll is about 3, it's going to be about strength 7 most of the time, which is still pretty good, whether you're, you know, whatever you're shooting at there. So there's some of the new orc upgrades, and then it gets into the Tau. And like I said, in the back, there's a little attack pattern reference appendix right there and all that. So, but overall, I think the book's worth the money. You know, you might want to play the little X-Wing style game during, you know, on your Saturday afternoons when you got more time. It's probably not going to make it into tournament play, the dogfight move rules, but the new flyer rules are definitely very specific and very well thought out as far as I can tell. And of course, having all the flyers in one specific place doesn't hurt either. So overall, I feel like, you know, not everybody's going to need this book, but it's not a bad purchase either way. You can't be like, oh, I'll never use these rules. But, you know, and depending on how they rule the whole dogfighting and how, you know, the formations and the wing commander stuff kind of trickle down and are universally accepted in all modes of play, basically. So that's it for this one, guys. Make sure you check out our other videos up on here for the new flyers themselves and the new White Dwarf as well.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.